going on, everybody? I'm Harrison Graham.
And I'm Chase Sr.
We launched a brand new show just a couple of weeks ago here at Chat Sports, and it's called Any Given Thursday.
We go live every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. So the video that you're about to watch aired live on that show. Make sure you subscribe and join us on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. You're watching Any Given Thursday on Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. He is Harrison Graham. We go live every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. NBA training camp, it tips off next week. So with that, we're going to do a Golden State Warriors training camp preview. Harrison has cooked up 3 marquee storylines that he's kind of monitoring going into next week. Take it away, my guy.
Yeah, look, number one, and this should be the most obvious, is Klay Thompson's impact. Part one, when's he going to return? Sounds like Christmas Day is what they're shooting for. Maybe a little after, maybe a little or before, maybe a little after the New Year. We'll see. You got to play it safe because you got to be thinking long term within this season. You got to get him back this season. He's missed 2 years, but if he's not ready till January 10th, that's fine. The Warriors can stay afloat. But if Klay Thompson can get back and be healthy, what is his impact going to be? Is he going to be the same guy he was before? I find that hard to believe coming off a ACL and an Achilles. I think if you're Golden State, can you get 85 to 90% of the player you had? Close to normal offensively, and then while it may not be a lockdown player defensively at this point for Klay coming off those 2 major injuries, can he still be above average? If you get sniper Klay from 3 and above average defensive play from Klay, I think you'll live with that. If that happens, I think this can be at least, a top 4 or 5 team in the Western Conference and get back into the mix into making a run in the West. So, 2 more storylines to discuss. But first, will Klay return to all-star form? If he does, I love the Warriors team this year. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Will Klay return to all-star level form this season? Hopefully he does. That's obviously something to monitor over the next couple of months. All right, number 2, Steph Curry. Is he going to win MVP this year? Almost won it last year. If you have the level of Steph you had last year, Chase, and Klay comes back and is 85 to 90% of himself, I think you have to consider this team a contender.
Have to. I mean, Steph Curry, after the All-Star break last year, what he was doing was defying ridiculous science. It was defying all modern-day basketball logic. It was crazy because you look at the supporting cast around Steph, it wasn't that good. He was literally carrying the Warriors on his shoulders to just get him into the NBA play-in tournament. This was a team that for so long was below 500, hovering around 500. You get a healthy Steph Curry and Klay Thompson back on the floor. I'm not saying it's going to be shades of the 2015 to 2019 run when they won 3 NBA titles. It could be close, and at least they could be back in the mix in the West.
Yeah, and look, I think, it's unfair for Steph, but you need him to be that player. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So hopefully he can be an MVP type of candidate once again. And then number 3, and we don't get into politics on this show. I'm not going to do that here, but this is a storyline right now. Andrew Wiggins' vaccination status. And it's only a storyline because the local mandates right now in the state of California, in the Oakland area, in the San Francisco area, as of now, he could not play home games. Now, he's going to apply for a religious exemption, it sounds like. Golden State has sat down with him, brought in doctors, and have tried to see if he would change his mind. He is holding firm at this point. But the city could decline his religious exemption. So, if he holds firm, doesn't get vaccinated, and that doesn't get overturned by the city, he can't play home games as of now. I think the mandates will change, hopefully, as we further along here and, case numbers improve. Again, we're not going to get into the political side of it. This is simply a fact, though, as we sit right now on, September 23rd, September 24th, whatever it is. If they played a home game tomorrow, he could not play in it. So that is a storyline to monitor moving forward, Chase. And let's be honest, this might be your 3rd best player at this point.
He probably is, and I personally don't care at all what Andrew Wiggins decides to do with his own body, and the NBA has not put down a mandate for vaccines. This is something that the NBA Players Association
This is a city ordinance.
But this is a city ordinance. So, as you mentioned, Andrew Wiggins could file for a religious exemption, but San Francisco, the city, could just overtake and overrule him with that religious exemption and say, you know what? It's an indoor event with all of these people. You are not allowed to play. And if Andrew Wiggins can't play, we're talking about the on-court impact for Golden State. And that is a big on-court impact, because last year he averaged around 18, 19 points per game. He's also a very good defensive player, and he's making like $30+ million per season, so it affects the Warriors franchise in that regard as well.
We'll monitor that story. We'll monitor the Warriors all season long. Make sure you guys subscribe. It's youtube.com/Warriors TV. You guys see the link below. And hey, Warriors basketball is back. Hopefully it's another fun season in the Bay. NBA training camps are almost here as we roll along on today's show. Chase, basketball is almost back as training camps start next week.
So much of the focus right now across America, really across the world, is on the National Football League as we go into week 3. But NBA training camp tips off next week. NBA preseason is only a couple weeks away, and then the NBA regular season starts in mid-October. We're going back to the normal NBA schedule following this COVID-shortened season and how the coronavirus kind of threw everything out of whack as far as the schedule. But here's some key dates for you that are coming up. Next week on the 27th, that's NBA Media Day for all teams across the association. On the 28th, that's when NBA training camps begin, so practices do begin to be in session. On the 3rd, the NBA preseason is starting, and then on the 19th, NBA regular season gets underway.
Yeah, and you look at that calendar, you're like, holy smokes, didn't the finals just end like a week ago?
It feels
That's
that
what
way.
It feels like, but we've had a draft, we've had a free agency period, and it's a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to get basketball back. Deep fall is the best time of year because you have the NFL, the NBA, playoff baseball, college football, and even hockey for you hockey fans. It's all happening at once. And that's coming up here in about 6 weeks when all those sports will overlap. It's nice to have the normal calendar back with the NBA. Second short offseason in a row that was shorter because of that. But moving forward, we should be back on the normal calendar, and these players should be able to adjust. And I cannot wait for opening night later in October. If you guys are as ready as we are here at Chat Sports, because hey, more NBA season means more videos for you guys, type me down in the comments. Chase, I'm fired up, man. It's going to be fun.
I'm fired up, and I think actually the ratings might improve for the NBA in the playoffs as well as in the NBA Finals once we get back to that normal schedule for the first time in 2 seasons, because 2 years ago we had the NBA bubble, and then it's kind of weird having the NBA Finals in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
But when you have it earlier on, I think it's a less busy time on the sporting schedule.
Well, I think people are just so comfortable with what they're used to.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, the finals are in mid-August. It's like, what?
It's very weird. When
people
NFL
ready for
is
football.
ramping up.
Yeah,
exactly.
people are ready for football. So I think the NBA is poised for a big season. I think the playoffs were a ton of fun last year, brings momentum into this year. Should be an absolutely fantastic time. So if you're as fired up as we are, go ahead and type your me. We'll go ahead and talk about odds, MVP, playoff odds as well as we get closer and closer to the season. What do you make of Luka Doncic being the favorite to win MVP this year?
I think the odds makers see what you and I see and what a lot of other people see. I see Luka Doncic this year taking another step, and I honestly think that because of the roster construction in Dallas, he's going to have an opportunity to really carry the offensive load more so than in previous seasons, and he's already had a massive usage rate, but I do see his points per game increasing up to maybe 33 points per game, so I think that's realistic that Luka is going to be able to win his first MVP award, which will really add to his legacy throughout his career. I mean, you compare his first 3 seasons with the first 3 seasons of LeBron James, they have been nearly identical all across the board. And I think Steph Curry, coming off that historic second half of the season last year in which he was just straight up on fire, dropping 30, 40-point games any given night. That's why you see him at 5-1 odds. Giannis, he really solidified himself as one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA with how he played in the NBA Finals.
His resume of 2 MVPs and a Finals MVP, he could retire tomorrow and go into the Hall.
So him and Michael Jordan, the only players at this point of their respective careers to win an NBA championship, an NBA MVP, a Finals MVP, and Defensive Player.
Wow.
So that goes to show you the historic proportions in which Giannis is off to in his career. And then if Embiid doesn't get hurt last year
he might
with
have
that
won
knee injury, at 7-1 odds, I kind of like the value there because I thought he would have been the MVP if he didn't get hurt.
Then, of course, LeBron's always in the mix. Kevin Durant's
at
in the mix
12-1 as well.
A lot of guys at plus 1,200. We just gave the King some props there because he's been doing it for a long time. But then you look at NBA title odds. No surprise at the top 3, Chase. Brooklyn, LA, Milwaukee. Then Golden State at plus 1,100. The Jazz at plus 1,400. I think people forget the Jazz were the best regular season team last year.
Yeah.
And if Mike Conley doesn't get banged up in the playoffs, Same with Donovan Mitchell, who's dealing with an ankle issue. Maybe that team wins it all last year.
I thought you made a good point earlier when you said the NBA playoffs last year were really entertaining. They were jam-packed with action. They really were. And I think what's great going into this year, both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference are so deep, and I think there's going to be so much parity across the league. Yeah. I know that the Nets and Lakers are obvious title favorites, but if they don't win the title next year, I'm not going to be surprised at all. And what you also saw in the playoffs last year is the emergence of some young superstars who were next up behind the LeBrons as well as the Stephs across the league.
Booker.
So going into this year, there is so much momentum, and I love it.
I absolutely cannot wait for the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Who do you guys think will win it all this upcoming year in the 2021-2022 NBA season? Who's going to be the champs? Get your votes in right now down in the comments section. And while you're at it, subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. You're watching Any Given Thursday. We go live every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Pacific. So subscribe and join us, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll continue to have you guys covered on the NFL, NBA, college football, and everything else in between as well. So go ahead and subscribe.